Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NASCAR CAM teleconference. We are joined by Kurt Busch, driver of the number 78 Furniture Row Denver Mattress Chevrolet for Furniture Row Racing in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Busch is sixth in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series standings with 9 top 5 and 14 top 10 finishes. He has 3 wins and 11 top 10 finishes at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the site of Sunday's Sylvania 300. Kurt, your team is one of the few teams located outside the Charlotte hub. How big of a deal is it that you were able to not only make the chase, but look like a true championship contending team?
Well, it's been a significant challenge for the team logistically to operate in Colorado, but other than that, it's business as usual. You see a crew chief, a lead engineer, a full-on assembly group of guys, some hanging bodies, some repairing crash damages. You see the motor tuner, the motor assembly. There's a chassis dyno, 7-post rig, so it's a bona fide program, and we have all the right people. And it was just a matter of having everything fall into place with the performances on track, and we've been able to do that. So it's been a very successful season, and we're in the chase, and we don't want it to stop there. We want to keep going.
Thanks, Kurt. We'll now go to the media for questions for today's guest, Kurt Busch.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions. If you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Once again, the floor is now open for questions. If you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Please hold while we poll for questions. And our first question comes from Michael Vega from the Boston Globe. Your line is now open.
Kurt, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I just wanted to ask you about the unique position you find yourself in, being a one-car operation, no teammates really to speak of in this chase. Is there a hindrance, or is this like an all-in-one effort, for your team going into the chase?
One thing that is a strong suit that I've noticed with this whole situation is the independence and being able to navigate through some of these waters a bit more aggressively, as well as we can steer our ship in a quicker direction and not have to report back to a big mothership, so to speak. And so being able just to navigate and get things implemented into the cars quickly is so refreshing. A couple weeks ago, we were at Atlanta, which is a bumpy, rough racetrack. We found a couple items, and we had those in our car by Chicago 2 weeks later. Those are the types of things that, and that freedom that help this single car team.
In terms of, making this chase, Kurt, I know for you is especially gratifying, but there was some emotion there that you showed once you did make that. I mean, where did that come from, Kurt?
The big emotion Saturday night in Richmond when we locked into the chase was little Houston. It's Patricia's 8-year-old that, I'm like an adopted stepdad with him, and he had a summer-long list of things he wanted to do. Ride his go-kart, go camping, fishing, just things that an 8-year-old would want to do, play video games. He said he wanted to bungee jump, but we had to draw that off the list. But one thing that I didn't get done for him that he had on his list, he wanted to go to Victory Lane. And I didn't win yet this year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and ran very limited nationwide races, 3 as a matter of fact. It didn't get to Victory Lane. And so I felt like getting him to the chase stage was that moment for us to share together. So I lived up as a stepdad to his expectations.
Yeah. Now, you still have that opportunity. Will you bring him to New Hampshire?
The custody calendar has us juggling him the rest of the year, and we try to keep him at just the East Coast races. And so his father has him on the weekends we don't, and we do have him, though, for New Hampshire, and it's a great race for us because we ran well there earlier this year and led a lot of laps. So looking forward to New Hampshire this weekend and coming up to the New England area and just trying to continue on the success level of this chase so far.
One last question, if I may. You talked about, not having a teammate, but do you view your brother as kind of a de facto teammate in a sense?
He's definitely a genuine teammate in life, and the way that we talk to each other and share information about what we see on the racetrack. Yes, I can lean on him, and he leans on me for that. And then there's a small exchange with Kevin Harvick. Twofold. One is he races with RCR, and we're a team that's paired up through them with an engineering alliance, as well as what we're doing next year in 2014 as teammates at Stewart-Haas Racing. The two of us have definitely bonded this summer in that fashion.
Excellent. Hey, thanks, Kurt, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Holly Kane from NASCAR.com. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Hey, Kurt, I had a couple of questions for you. Obviously, we know about your future for next year, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about Furniture Row Racing. And the first question is, what kind of a driver do you see fitting in and filling your shoes there? Do you think it needs to be somebody that can bring some experience, or do you think that's a real prime place for, you know, a young guy to come in and see what he can do?
I think the level of driver that they're looking for would be somebody with experience, but as well as somebody that has the potential to grow into whom would best fit that role. But we're starting to run out of those experienced drivers, such as Juan Pablo Montoya. He's made that announcement this week that he's going to Penske with an IndyCar program. And you're now looking at guys like David Reagan as a veteran, or a Scott Speed. One of the dark horses that nobody's really looking at that I think would be a good candidate is a Josh Wise. But the list can go on and on. I mean, you have Blaney's son, you have Truex Jr. There's probably everybody that wants a chase ride. I mean, this is a chase car. I'm sure their phone's ringing off the hook, and I'm not mentioning the right names. But I see a young guy fitting in over there that can grow with the team, just based off of what I've seen with their negotiations.
Great. Well, I appreciate that insight. And I wanted to ask you as well, what do you think is next for this team? What do you think is maybe something that they need to look at that you think this slight improvement will maybe mean the difference between winning races on a more weekly basis? I know obviously you've gotten them into the chase and they're, vying for the championship, but what do you think is kind of the next step? What's the missing link for them?
I wish I knew, because I'd implement it right now and we'd go to New Hampshire with it. I feel like we're a 95% team. We have a lot of tools that are strong. We go to the racetrack each week with raw speed. Our pit crew's improved, but we're missing that last 5%, and I don't know where it's coming from. And if we had it, I think we could drive into victory lane next week with it. So they're a fantastic team. They have a lot of well-roundedness to them, and there's just a couple small areas that I think that they can improve, but I don't know exactly what to do to pinpoint it.
Great. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Matt Weaver from Popular Speed. Your line is now open.
Thanks. Hey, Kurt. You entered the chase with no win, so you were a lower seed. You look at a situation like Earnhardt and Logano, who had situations at Chicagoland, so you don't have that 15-point buffer that Kenseth does or your brother. Can you win the championship by using up one of those mulligans, or do you have to be perfect all 10 weeks to have a realistic shot?
The best way to explain this, because there's a lot of us in the South that love SEC football, and every one of us has a team that we would root for. And if you find yourself early in the season with one loss, your hope is that the other groups of guys beat up on each other, and everybody's got one loss. When that happens, then you have a legitimate shot at getting back in this for a championship run. So until everybody has one loss or one big moment, there's no way they can overcome that.
Thanks.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you do have a phone question at this time, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. And once again, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. And our next question is from Rich Thompson from the Boston Herald. Your line is now open.
Hi, Kurt. Real quick, let's just go back to New Hampshire. You got 3 wins there and a lot of top 5 finishes. How do you attack that course? How do you like to run it?
I like to run the long runs there at New Hampshire. Making your car work for 100 laps at a time, I think, is key with some of the strategy that's been played there the last few years on pitting and then running long distances. So with that said, you cannot sacrifice short run speed, and that's where I think our Furniture Row car got in trouble in the first race, is that our car was a bit too vulnerable. We couldn't be aggressive on restarts, and we got spun around by Kenseth, our championship leader, earlier this year. So we have to protect our car better on short run speed and still have that long run speed in case it comes into play.
And a quick follow, just back to your independent status. Are you a little bemused by some of the sanctions handed down about collusion among teammates there? I guess this isn't one that can pin on Kurt Busch, huh?
Yeah, nobody can pin it on me. We're scot-free and worked our way in independently to be part of this chase. And, you know, there's different things that you want to do as a team and then to help a teammate, and then there's the line that's drawn. And at the end of the day, you have to worry about your car number, your team, your people, and how your people are reacting.
Thank you very much, Kurt.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Dwight Drum from Racetake.com. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Kurt, all NASCAR drivers appear to be, seem to be anyway, optimistic before the season starts. And when I spoke to you in Charlotte for the Spirit Media Tour, you were optimistic. But did you really see a chase spot coming? And was 2013 just a race-to-race routine for you that you would normally do?
Last year, in 2012, I finished with Furniture Row Racing with 3 top 10s out of 6 races. And that type of performance level is chase material. Now, that's only 6 weeks, though. You have to do it over 26 weeks. And so half the races, if you finish them in the top 10, that's chase material. And we did that. We had exactly that number. We had 13 top 10 finishes. So I felt like, yes, we could make the chase. I was very optimistic. Yes, it is week to week, but our team wasn't chase ready the first 5-6 weeks of the season. And so I lumped it into 5-6 chunk races. And once we cleared that, then I looked at the next 6 and what had to happen for small optimum goals then, and then bridge it into the next 6. So by race 18, you better be chase ready, because you only have 8 weeks from that point to tie it together perfectly to make the chase.
And how would you compare it to all of the ups and downs that you've gone through in your championship in the past, all the changes that you've made to be able to do this? With this small team, it's a big accomplishment. And for me, it's very satisfying to have bounced back and put this group in chase contention. It's like a top 5 moment, with my career and a championship and big wins, consistency over the years, making 7 out of 10 chases. This year was a significant top 5 type moment. Thanks, sir, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Brian Nelson from Motor Racing Network. Your line is now open.
Hi, Kurt. Over the last few weeks, it seems like I've noticed you are one of the most aggressive drivers on restarts. And I just would like to hear how you would describe the importance of kind of stepping up, particularly at that time, and has this restart rule that's been handed down over the weekend impacted the way you approach restarts at all?
Well, I think it was the fact that our backs were up against the wall about 4 weeks ago with our point situation and making the chase. And I was aggressive on restarts to gain those spots back after some poor pit stops. And it turned out to bear fruit and gave us the points we needed to make the chase. I mean, we made the chase by 12 points. That's a decent margin, but I passed 9 guys on one restart at Atlanta, being on the aggressive side. And so restarts are important. I think now it's in the forefront for everybody with the rule change and how we're seeing races won on how important it is on that final restart, which we never do know the final restart until it is maybe that last green-white checker. But every restart is important in positions to be gained, or you can easily lose them. So it's a new dimension in our sport that I think is grabbing a lot of attention, and teams are looking at it on how they can benefit around it.
Fantastic, Kurt. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Steve Richards from Performance Racing. Your line is now open.
Thanks, Kurt, for taking the time to talk to us today. I saw a stat that showed that you and Casey Mears are tied with the most times caught speeding on pit road with 7. And I was kind of wondering if you've analyzed that to hopefully limit that down the stretch here so it won't hurt you as you're trying to win the championship.
That's pretty sweet. I'll take that. It's not a top 5 moment, but I'll take that. You got to get a stat in something. All kidding aside, Chicago was a bogus thing in my mind because my tack was green all the way down pit road. There's times when it might flicker red, and then you hold your breath to see if you're going to get by the police, in a sense. Chicago was all green, never expected to be called in, and we were. What that means is we're setting our pit road tachometer too aggressively and too close to the margin. So we just have to be more conservative. The thing that has to be clear internally with Furniture Row Racing is that the guy setting the tack isn't going conservative on his own, and then I'm going doubly conservative, if that's a word, to make sure we're not too conservative once we're performing. Because we have to perform in this chase. We can't lose spots on pit road with slow pit stops, and we can't lose spots on pit road by driving too slow in a speed zone.
How tough is that for you, since obviously every pit road is different?
It's not tough for me. We just need to do a better job at filtering through our tachometer settings. But the way that our sport has evolved, if I can stand on a soapbox real quick, we have a gear selection that's given to us by NASCAR, a tire size that's given to us. We have an ECU unit, the electronic control unit, can tell us what RPM we need to run down pit road. Why not put a button on the steering wheel that keeps us more focused on crew members on pit road and not chancing how fast we're going and taking our attention away from where safety needs to be?
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Michael Vega from the Boston Globe. Your line is now open.
Kurt, just a follow-up on some of the topics we were discussing regarding the teamwork. A broader issue here, we saw some of the rulings that came down last week that kind of were brought about to mitigate some of the manipulation of the outcome of this of races like Richmond by teammates, where you're having unseemly things taking place on the track. As a driver, do you feel it puts you in an untenable situation to have to feel the team order? And then do you hypothetically speaking, would a driver have to wrestle with countermanding the team order because he knows it's not good for him or his outcome? And are you glad that NASCAR kind of drew the line and said, okay, this is what's not allowed and this is what is allowed?
Well, I can just tell you, with all the experiences I've been through in the past, that I am relieved that I'm on a single-car team, that we raced our way into the chase and did this all on our own without any type of controversy. I have never been on this side of it to see how thick it gets and how awkward it can feel, and just the genuine interest level that is away from the racing side of it can be extreme. Mm-hmm. And these teams that were on the bubble put themselves in a position over those 26 weeks to not be locked in. And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to say is you have 26 weeks. Why don't you try to run better, get yourself locked in, so with 2 weeks to go, you're on easy street. But team orders are a catch-22. You're trying to do your own thing independently for your own car number. And at the same time, there's a master name that's on the building. And so you have to adhere to what the general manager or the team president's going to tell you to do. And sometimes you got to do what's right for your own self. Sometimes you got to do what the team tells you to do.
Yeah. In terms of just the broader issue of teamwork, how does that manifest itself on the track? I asked Matt Kenseth this earlier. And certainly you exemplified what a great teammate does for another at Daytona when you helped him win the 500. But in terms of that, I mean, even at a carburetor restrictor plate, is it tough to really enact teamwork out there?
When I was a teammate with Matt Kenseth at Roush Racing, I adopted the philosophy early in my career on let's race 1 day a week, but we're going to work together 6 days out of the week. So when you have team communication and information going back and forth, you're there to make both programs stronger, or however many cars are in your stable stronger. And then on the 7th day, everybody go races for themselves.
All right. Thank you, Kurt.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Once again, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. And our next question comes from Kelly Crandell from PopularSpeed.com. Your line is now open.
Hi, Kurt. We've all followed your ups and downs the last few years, from Penske to James Finch to Furniture Row, and you've been beaten down seemingly by everybody in the sport. But one thing that I've noticed this year is everyone has sort of rallied around you, and the perception has changed, maybe with the underdog status and seeing how you've humbled yourself and you've gone back to really enjoying racing. What, if anything, have you noticed in terms of the reaction and the treatment you've been getting from fans and even the fellow drivers?
Well, it's been a long journey, and it didn't happen overnight, but I chose to settle into this program with working with Phoenix Racing and finding that genuine fun of what it meant to go back to the racetrack because of all the distractions, requirements, and monotonous things and situations that kept developing with a big-time team like at Penske Racing. And so it was great to get a breath of fresh air, roll up my sleeves, blue-collar style, work hard with the guys, and then to do the same thing with the Furniture Row group, who's a step up from where that Phoenix Racing team was, and then to try to get the results side of it back, and we've done that. And so it's been neat to have those small goals set forth and then to achieve those goals and then to set new ones. And ultimately we want to be in victory lane, and making the chase was a great feather in the cap, and it's been a nice road back. And all along, though, it's been about having fun and working with the crew guys and letting a story be told without people's visceral opinions changing the way that things are really actually unfolding.
Have you noticed maybe any reaction differently from the fans, whether it's through driver introductions or maybe things that they've said to you when they've gotten a chance to greet you or see you at the track?
You know, the number one thing that I'm not looking for as far as attention and recognition is just the work with the military and seeing men and women who are in uniform coming up and shaking my hand or giving my girlfriend Patricia a hug, who's the president of the Armed Forces Foundation. It means a lot. And she says that she's never seen this type of reaction where people are genuinely going out of their way to say thank you. It means that we're making a difference and we're helping our military families who have sacrificed so much and served for our country, that they want to come to the racetrack and be part of the NASCAR Troops to the Track program, as well as if they're just a fan and they're a military member, they come up because they're seeing that Patricia's Foundation is making a difference.
Awesome. And one last thing, would it be safe to say that, Kurt Busch is back, or are you back to being comfortable in your own skin and back to being the driver and maybe the man that you want to be? Everything is going pretty well for you right now.
It's going great. Just success on the racetrack is one thing, and getting your priorities in order in life is another thing. And also, sometimes you have to take a step back to make 2 steps forward.
Thank you, Kurt. Good luck this weekend throughout the case.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Brett Winningham from Motorsports Nation. Your line is now open.
Hello, Kurt. I just want to ask you, during the race, there seemed to be lots of drivers having all kinds of issues. How does the driver manage their stuff in that situation, knowing that you could be the next driver to have an issue or a problem?
Well, around every corner is an opportunity for success or failure. This day and age, things move so quick that if something does pop up, you've got to roll with it, and you have to react and make educated decisions on what's got to happen next and how to recover as quickly as you can from those mishaps. And so, your team can help you, or the driver's experience level can help you. Lady Luck can get involved. You never know. But the more that you've been through, the better you should be able to deal with it.
And my next question is, how does the driver turn around not having a ride from a negative way to a positive way, And once when a driver finds a ride, what some of the things will you do or a driver do to kind of get an idea of how the other organization is ran at the racetrack?
Well, it's just a matter of keeping your spirits up and knowing that around the next corner is a potential new opportunity. And when you get that new opportunity, you have to take it slow and learn the people, learn the system, and at the same time try to implement the experiences that you have on what it takes to find success on the racetrack and produce those results.
All right, thank you very much, and good luck this week in New Hampshire and the rest of the chase.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Isabel BC from the Podium Finish. Your line is now open.
Hi, Kurt. I just have a quick question for you. How excited are you for a shot at the Cup this year?
Well, it's been an amazing ride, and to make the chase with a single-car team was a nice accomplishment and something very gratifying. And now here we are, 1 week into it. We have a nice top 5 finish. We need 9 more of those, along with a win. And so I'm looking forward to the challenge. What keeps me even more hungry this year is that we haven't won yet, and I know we're capable of doing it. And here it is, the chase. It's the most important time to win. So it'd be great to see it all come together.